Hello there all, my name is Kate and welcome to this channel. As always, if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification button so you don't miss the future content. Today we are visiting one of the most beautiful medieval towns of Switzerland, Murten. It is in the southeastern shore of Lake Murten, only 30 kilometers west of Bern, and it is one of the best preserved medieval towns in Switzerland. It has very beautiful picturesque lanes and alleys, a gorgeous old town with pleasant shady arcades with restaurants and coffee shops, very compact, very colorful, and certainly worth a visit. Today I'm going to tell you about the history of the place, what to see and what to do there. And after a short intro, we're going to start our journey. Murten, the town bordering German and French-speaking parts of Switzerland, so here people speak both German and French. Located on the lovely lakeside promenade with wide range of water sports, different activities, and plenty of excursions and historical places to visit. Murten has a rare personality and history that stretches back to 515. The very first mention of the place is in regards to the transfer of this lands as a gift to the monastery of Saint Moritz. That was in 515, as we said, but the fortress of Murten was already there, so the settlement there started much earlier. So the fortress was called Muratum, located on the shore of Lake Murten, and at the time Murten belonged to Burgundy. So Burgundy back in the day was a separate state, and today's well familiar to us France and Switzerland did not exist. The medieval fortress walls of Murten have been preserved from the city defensive structures that were erected. The earliest ones were erected in 1238. In the later years they were reconstructed and strengthened, and only in 20th century they were restored and opened to visitors. Today you're free and welcome, and definitely should walk on the old city walls. It is free, which is a very nice, refreshing aspect of traveling in Switzerland. Some things are free. The name of Murten originated from Celtic Muridono, which means fortress on the shores of lake. Pretty self-explanatory. The fortress was first mentioned, as we pointed out, in 515, back then with its Latin name Muratum, and until 1013 existed on its own, basically just a fortress with no settlement. The city around the fortress appeared much later. In the middle of 12th century, the settlement could be called a city. Murten is remarkable predominantly for its old town, which has remained virtually unchanged since the Middle Ages, where the fortress walls remained, as well as the city-forming castle fortress that we will see in a little while. Both were founded in roughly 13th century. The most houses in the old town date back to 15th, 18th century. The city inside the walls is fairly small. It would take you roughly 2 hours to cover the entire city, which consists of only 3 streets. Even though it's quite small, it is still worth a visit. For more than 200 years, the city was part of Duchy of Savoy. In the middle of 13th century, Peter of Savoy built a castle at the entrance of the city, and that was the basis of former fortifications. In 1475, Murten voluntarily became a part of Swiss Confederation and fell under the rule of Bern. In 1476, the key battle of European Middle Ages took place here. And here it's worth mentioning, if you don't know anything about Swiss history and you are on a quiz which asks who won the battle, and if Swiss were in it, you best bet that those where Swiss were, would be the winning side. So this was the Battle of Murten on the 22nd of June 1476. The victory of Confederates over the Burgundian army led to Duke Charles the Bold. Apparently was very bold, and this victory is celebrated to this day. And for a long time, the population remained predominantly French-speaking. Over time, however, Germans began to settle the area and German took over. Today, over 75% of people speak German and the rest French. It's a very interesting fact that such small cities speak two languages. But yeah, that is the fact. So the city lies on the border of German and French-speaking Switzerland. From 1484, Murten was ruled alternately by two cantons for roughly 300 years, either Fribourg or Bern. I would definitely recommend walking on the city wall, aside from the fact that it's free. It is a fascinating experience. A wonderful view opens on both sides. On the left you would see the old town, and on the right you'll see some mountains and a lot of picturesque nature. In terms of interesting, unusual incidents that took place in the city, one of them would be on the town hall street. In 1866, a circus arrived to town and there was Elephant who performed some tricks. Apparently Elephant escaped and started crashing everything around him, and sadly there was no better way to calm him down than to shoot him, so unfortunately Elephant was shot dead, and since that time the town hall street was renamed as the Elephant Street. Another interesting site would be the Bern Gate. The most beautiful gate of the city was built here in the 13th century. Unfortunately was destroyed in the Battle of Burgundians that we earlier spoke about, and the current gate dates back to the end of the 18th century. What's very interesting here is that the clock face on the outside of the city, as you enter the city, has only one clock hand, and the meaning of it is the symbol of unity and freedom of Switzerland. The central street of Murten, Hauptgasse, probably the most beautiful street here, with houses that were built in roughly 17th and 18th century. Very bright, very festive decorations, a lot of Baroque style. The first floor occupied by arcades with lots of restaurants. Here we actually had our lunch. A truffle pizza I had was amazing, very few truffles, but very tasty nonetheless. Thanks to its beautiful location on the small hillside overlooking Lake Murten, Murten has always been a very popular tourist destination. In evening, people watch sunset over the magnificent lake. The city offers many great activities, from swimming to kayaking to sailing. There are a lot of really cool routes. You could visit many nearby cities. If you're driving, you definitely should visit also Bern. It's nearby La Croix and Neuchâtel. And now slowly making our way to the castle. This is the castle that used to belong to the Savoy dynasty. It was built here in the 13th century. And from the castle opens a great view over the lake. And that would be all that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to put the like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know how you liked it, whether you've been to Murten or planning to go, or any other places in Switzerland. Feel free to ask any questions. We'll be happy to help if I can. Once again, thank you so much for joining and see you soon.